and now we're seeing her play these two guys for fools. Hey readers, writers, and story lovers, my name is Hannah. I publish as H.S. Paisley, and today we're going to talk about The Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. Literally every time I say this guy's name, I think I'm gonna say it wrong. So I hope I said it right. Okay, Sword of Destiny is the second book in the Witcher saga, or it's like, on Goodreads, it's like 0.7. Okay, but whatever. I think it's the second one that I'm supposed to read. But it's kind of a prequel or something to the other ones. I don't know, because the timeline is all over the place. That's what I got out of this book. I don't know what's happening. But I thought for this one, there are 6 short stories, so I'm gonna go through the book in the orders of each short story. So the first story in Sword of Destiny is The Bounds of Reason. And in this story, we meet Borsch, the gold dragon guy that we don't know is a gold dragon yet. And we saw this character in the show, so it was really fun to see where this character originated. Less fun, the book version is so sexist. The two like badass sidekick ladies he has in the show, he has them in the book too. T and V, whatever. In the show, the idea I got were that these two warrior women were like devoted to this guy. You know, he is the most beautiful and Geralt is confused. And that line happens in the book too. So it's cool to see that translation was like taken directly out of the books. But I mean, less cool that in the books, the dragon guy owns these women and then like offers one of them to Geralt without consulting them and just assuming that they're all gonna have a nice orgy together after a bath together. Just assuming that these women are cool with it. You know, not great, not great. Didn't happen in the show. Happy that didn't happen in the show. I think there was also like a potential attempted gang rape of Yennefer by the dwarves, which like I also could have done without. You know, I don't think I needed that. But overall, I mean, outside of the sexism that happened in the short story, I thought it was cool to see where the show got the story from, like to see the origins of what I saw in the show. So, I mean, cool. The second story is A Shard of Ice. In this story, Geralt and Yennefer are in a relationship, and oh my gosh, you guys said I was gonna like her more. I do not like her anymore in this book. Especially because of this story. We meet Istredd too, who we saw in the show, and it's interesting, like we got it in a different order in the show, right? We saw her relationship with Istredd first before she met Geralt. And now we're seeing her play these two guys for fools. I hate her. I hate her. The third story is called Eternal Flame, where we meet a mimic, a Doppler, somebody else we saw on the show. So like, I think if this review seems super show obsessed, it's because I saw the show first. And so everything I'm thinking of, and I think I said this in another review or another video, everything I'm thinking of in this book, it's like, where did it fit into the show or how did it fit into the show? And so that's what's most interesting for me, to see where the writers of the show took this original source material and how they developed it, how well did they develop it. And in the next story, we can see they did not develop it super well. But in this one, like they only took a little bit, they only took the mimic, the Doppler character, and put it into the show. We didn't see anything else from this story in the show, but the story overall was super fun. Like this merchant halfling being copied by this mimic, this Doppler, and buying up all of these products, stealing his horses and selling them and doing all this stuff. Like I had a great time listening to this one because I do listen to books much more than I read them. I really enjoyed this story. I thought it was pretty fun. I especially liked how the mimics, the Doppler's abilities work, and that they copy absolutely everything about a person, even the clothes, but like they can't really take off the clothes, or if they did, like they're leaving a part of themselves behind. Like the idea of that I think is really cool. And there was a line in there about somebody said something like he wouldn't part with that pair of pants easily or something like that, and I thought that was really fun. The next story, A Little Sacrifice, was like so fun and so stupid and also really sexist. Geralt as a mermaid translator was hilarious, and the narrator in the audiobook did a really good job of like this sing-song voice of the mermaid, and she was just like, sacrifice, white hair, a little sacrifice. sacrifice. It was super fun. I also really liked that Dandelion was going to adapt this story into a song, and he says at the end she's gonna turn into sea foam, which is how the original story ends, and then makes kind of a joke about how nobody really cares about the story if the song is good or something like that, which I just thought was so fun. Less fun is that this lady mermaid is basically boobs in a tail. Her breasts are described non-stop. Basically, her man wants her to change up her legs and come on land with him, and she wants a little sacrifice. The whole story, she's saying, sacrifice, a little sacrifice. And he absolutely refuses to even consider anything she's asking him to do. So what happens in the end? She sacrifices everything for this man who sacrificed nothing for her. Cool. We also meet one of Dandelion's friends, Essie, or Little Eye. And at first I was like, cool, this is a platonic relationship between a male character and a female character, Essie and Dandelion. And I'm interested to see where this goes. They're both bards. They have like this fun kind of competitive but playful relationship with each other, which was really fun to read. And then Geralt forces himself on her, grabs her by her small waist, kisses her. She's like bending away from him. But don't worry, guys. It's okay that he did this because she's in love with him, even though they've known each other for 35 seconds. So what does Geralt do when he finds this out? He thinks, I could do a little sacrificing myself and pity fuck this girl. But no, I'm in love with Yennefer, so I'm not gonna do that. But then he does do it, and in the end of the story, she dies. Cool. The second last story, The Sword of Destiny, is set in Brocklin Forest. And this, after reading this, like I really understand why people weren't super impressed at the 2 minutes and 28 seconds that the show gave to Brocklin Forest. We meet Ciri in this story, see Mousak. I think it was pretty interesting. Like, I saw that the flavor of this story was in the show, but none of the meat, you know? To me, the most interesting part of this story was the discussion of land ownership, especially in light of so much of our news right now talking about what's happening in Indigenous communities in Canada or how Indigenous people in Canada are treated. I thought it was really interesting to read this story about land ownership. Specifically, I found it so interesting that the Dryads, right? Of Brocklin Forest had killed some men who were trespassing, and then somebody said, like, that's not Brocklin Forest, and the Dryad said, well, it is, just because the land has been cleared doesn't mean it's not ours, and it should still be the forest. Like, I thought that was so interesting. Just the perspective on what ownership is, and this king or whoever sending Geralt to try and negotiate some kind of treaty, like, give me this piece of your land and the rest will be safe forever. Like, yeah, I wouldn't believe that guy either. The last story, Something More, we also got some of in the show. And joy of joys for me, stupid Yennefer is back. I actually have no idea what Geralt sees in this woman, but I mean, like, whatever, boo. If you're happy, I'm happy you're happy. I absolutely love the portrayal of friendship shown between Geralt and Dandelion when they're trying to get out of the city at the end of this story. I thought that was like, oh, just tugged on my heartstrings. I loved it. And then he goes back in and tries to find Ciri, and then we get the kind of the guy who he saves on the road who takes him back home, like just like we did in the show, which was really fun to read. And then Ciri's there in the end. Like, I thought that was great. And also the way this story was told was done really well. Like, it felt like there were a lot of layers to the narrative and going in and out of different timelines. I really enjoyed that. And the names on the wall part was super intense. Even though I don't care about Yennefer at all, it was still like, I was still feeling what the author, I think, intended me to feel, even though I hate her character so much. And this is where, like, I really started to get confused about the timelines of things, because Triss is dead, and we haven't even met her yet. When is this happening? Also, Triss is described as being chestnut-haired. You know what color a chestnut is? Uh-huh. You know who I'm talking to. Overall, this was fun. I'm going to read the next one, of course. Right now, I'm reading Crooked Kingdom, Broken Kingdom. I don't know, number 2 of the Six of Bones or Shadow and Crows or something. I'm doing a reading vlog for that, but I will be reading the next Witcher Saga book next. And I didn't realize that the animated Witcher thing on Netflix wasn't a show, that it's just a movie. So I'm gonna watch that soon too. But as for Sword of Destiny, like, it was fun. Kind of have to like separate myself and be like super sexist, but I'm gonna try and enjoy the story anyways. And I did for the most part. One thing that I was a little disappointed about was and I think I said this in another video, the structure of the first novel was not maintained in the second one. We had like a consistent story of him, and then as he's moving through this story, he's remembering things from different times, you know? Like, I really enjoyed that of the first one and how that was put together, and I was hoping that they were all gonna be that way, but I guess they're not, which is fine. Anyways, that's all I got today. Tell me what you guys thought of this book if you've read it. Am I gonna like Yennefer more in the next book? I don't care! I hate her now. I'm open to liking her later, but I hate her now. Anyways, I hope you guys are all happy and healthy, taking care of yourselves and each other, and always that you're hydrated. So if you're not, go get some water, because you're probably dehydrated.